Hello, my dear film fanatics, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Tim and Tom's Film Nights. I hope you all had a wonderful week filled with lots of popcorn and movie marathons. Today, we are delving into the world of Pixar's Monsters in a 2001 animated classic that captivated audiences young and old alike. Now, before we begin our in-depth discussion, let me just say how delighted I am to be here with my dear friend and film companion, the ever-curious Timothy.
Greetings, my fellow movie buffs. It's a pleasure to join Tom once again as we dissect another cinematic gem, or in this case, perhaps a less than sparkling gemstone. But let's not jump the gun and get into that too quickly. Instead, shall we begin by sharing our initial thoughts on Pixar's Monsters?
I must say, Timothy, I found it to be a charming film with plenty of heart and humor. The storyline about monsters scaring children to power their world was quite unique and imaginative. Not to mention the lovable characters like Sulley and Mike Wazowski, who stole my heart from the very beginning. What did you think, dear friend?
Well, Thomas, I must admit that my feelings towards this particular Pixar offering are somewhat conflicted. While I appreciate the clever concept and the adorable characters, overall I found Monsters to be quite lackluster. The plot felt a bit too predictable for my liking, and the humor, while occasionally amusing, failed to make me laugh out loud as it did with some of their other films. But perhaps that's just my old-fashioned sensibilities talking. What do you think?
I see where you're coming from, Timothy dearest, but let me try to convince you otherwise. While it's true that Monsters, its plot can be considered predictable, especially for younger viewers who might not have watched many horror movies or suspenseful stories before, I think the film excelled in crafting relatable characters and a heartwarming tale of friendship and self-discovery. The movie also tackles themes such as workplace politics, social classism, and the power dynamics between adults and children, which, again, make it more than just a simple monster-bashing romp. As for the humor, while it might not have been laugh-out-loud funny for you, I found myself chuckling quite frequently throughout the film. The banter between Sulley and, Mike, especially when they're trying to blend in as human parents at a school event, was pure gold. And who could forget the hilarious antics of their bumbling colleagues like the forgetful Mr. Potts or the easily spooked screamer Mr. Waternoose? So, while I understand your reservations, perhaps if you give Monsters another chance, you might be able to appreciate its charm and heartfelt storytelling a bit more. What do you say, Timothy, old chap?
Well, Thomas, my dear friend, I must admit that your arguments are quite compelling. Perhaps if I were to watch Monsters with a more open mind and a willingness to embrace its charms rather than expecting it to be the cinematic masterpiece that is Toy Story 3, then maybe I would see the film in a better light. But alas, my dear Tom, as much as I respect your opinion and love our spirited discussions about films past and present, I fear we will have to agree to disagree on this one.
And that's what makes these conversations so special, Tim. We don't always have to agree on everything, but as long as we do it respectfully and with a willingness to listen to each other's points of view, then I believe we can learn something new every time. Speaking of which, let me share with you a fascinating behind-the-scenes tidbit about Monsters, that you might find interesting. Did you know that during the production process, Pixar faced some technical challenges in creating believable fur textures for their monster characters?
Really, Tom, that's quite fascinating. How did they overcome this issue?
Well, according to one of the animators involved in the film, they found inspiration from a trip to the zoo where they studied various animal fur patterns closely. They then combined that research with advancements in computer technology to create what is now considered one of Pixar's most realistic and lifelike fur simulations ever seen on the big screen. I must say, it definitely pays off when watching Sulley and Mike strut their stuff in all their monstrous glory.
That's quite impressive, Tom. It just goes to show how much effort and creativity goes into making these animated masterpieces come alive on the screen.
Now, if you don't mind,
I think it would be an excellent time for us to delve deeper into the film's special effects and filming techniques. Specifically, how they managed to create those breathtaking scenes of Monstropolis and the human world in such detail.
I couldn't agree more, Timothy. Let us indeed delve into the fascinating world of Monsters, Inc.'s special effects and filming techniques. As you mentioned earlier, the film switches between scenes set in the monster metropolis of Monstropolis and those taking place in the human world. Pixar had to create two distinct environments that not only looked different but also felt authentic to their respective universes. And let me tell you, they did a stellar job. For the cityscape of Monstropolis, Pixar's designers drew inspiration from various real-world cities like New York and Tokyo, giving the city a unique blend of familiarity and otherness that adds to its charm. The filmmakers also carefully considered the lighting and color palette for each setting, making sure that Monstropolis was bustling with vibrant colors, while the human world had a more muted, earth tone look. As for the monsters themselves, Pixar's animators worked tirelessly to bring their designs to life. They studied various animal movements and behaviors to create believable locomotion for characters like Sulley, Mike Wazowski, and Celia May. Of digital painting techniques and advanced rendering technology. Now, let's move on to the scenes set in the human world. Pixar had the daunting task of replicating everyday household items and furniture with astonishing accuracy. From Boo's room filled with cuddly toys and colorful pillows to her parents' cozy living room complete with a working TV and fluffy sofa, everything looked incredibly lifelike. Even the small details like, the dust particles floating in the air or the way sunlight streams through windows added an extra layer of realism to these scenes. In conclusion, Monsters, Inc.'s special effects and filming techniques are nothing short of astounding. Pixar's artists and animators truly pushed the boundaries of what could be achieved with animation at that time, creating two worlds that felt both alien and familiar all at once. And let us not forget the heartfelt storytelling and memorable characters that elevate this film to classic status. Now, Timothy, dearest, what do you think? Did our discussion on Monsters, Inc.'s special effects and filming techniques sway your opinion at all? Or are you still standing firm in your belief that it's not quite up there with Toy Story 3?
Well, Thomas, I must admit that your explanation of Pixar's creative process and attention to detail is quite impressive. It certainly shows how much care they put into crafting these animated worlds from scratch. However, I still maintain my position on Monsters and being a somewhat lackluster entry in their filmography. That being said, let us turn our attention to the talented individuals who brought these characters to life through their voices. Sulley and Mike Wazowski are two of Pixar's most iconic characters, and finding the right voices for them was undoubtedly a challenge.
Indeed, Timothy, the voice cast for Monsters, Inc. is quite impressive. John Goodman perfectly captured the rugged charm and protective nature of Sulley, while Billy Crystal brought Mike Wazowski to life with his signature goofiness and loyalty. The supporting characters were also voiced by a talented lineup, including James Coburn as Mr. Waternoose, Mary Gibbs as Boo, and Jennifer Tilly as Celia May. But what really stood out for me was Steve Buscemi's portrayal of the slimy and devious character of Randall Boggs. His voice was so sinister and menacing that it sent chills down my spine every time he appeared on screen. What do you think, Timothy?
I must say, Thomas dearest, your knowledge of voice acting never ceases to amaze me. Yes, the voice cast for Monsters, Inc. is indeed top-notch, with each actor bringing their unique talents to their respective characters. However, even the most talented vocal performances can only go so far when faced with a less than stellar script and storytelling. While I must admit that some of the actors did manage to elevate certain moments in the film through their performances, ultimately it wasn't enough to fully salvage Monsters. And for me,
Well, Timothy, we will have to respectfully disagree on this one, but let us not dwell on our differences too much longer. Instead, shall we move on to discussing another aspect of Monsters, Inc. that I found particularly fascinating, specifically its cultural impact and legacy as a Pixar classic.
sounds like a fine idea, Tom. Let us delve into the cultural impact and legacy of Monsters, shall we? Well, Thomas, it's hard to deny the cultural impact that Monsters has had on the world of AM, animation, and beyond. For one, it introduced a new generation of children to the wonderfully terrifying world of monsters, redefining them as misunderstood beings who just wanted to coexist peacefully with humans. The film also tackled themes like workplace politics, social classism, and the power dynamics between adults and children in a way that was relatable and accessible to all ages. Moreover, Monsters, in memorable characters, catchy songs, and heartwarming storyline have transcended the silver screen, spawning numerous merchandise lines, theme park attractions, and even a highly successful spin-off TV series titled Monsters, Inc. The series, which further expanded upon the lives of our favorite monsters in terms of its legacy as a Pixar classic, Monsters, and remains a beloved entry in their vast animated universe. Its combination of laughter and tears, humor and heart, has endeared it to audiences young and old alike. The film's memorable quotes, iconic moments, and unforgettable characters have become part of pop culture lexicon, quoted and referenced in countless other media forms over the years.
You make a compelling case for Monsters, Inc., Timothy Dearest. And let's not forget about its groundbreaking animation and technical achievements. Pixar pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible with computer-generated graphics, especially when creating realistic fur textures and lifelike environments. The film also introduced new animating techniques that were later refined and perfected in subsequent Pixar masterpieces, like Brave and Frozen. In conclusion, Monsters, Inc. is a cultural juggernaut that has stood the test of time. Its timeless themes of friendship, acceptance, and self-discovery resonate with audiences worldwide, making it not only a Pixar classic, but also a timeless animated masterpiece that will continue to entertain and inspire generations to come.
Indeed, Tom, my dear friend, let's delve into the cultural impact and legacy of Monsters, Inc., a Pixar classic that has stood the test of time. Firstly, the film tackled themes such as friendship, acceptance, and self-discovery in an accessible yet thought-provoking manner. Its message about not judging a book by its cover resonated with audiences of all ages, teaching valuable lessons about prejudice and stereotypes. Secondly, Monsters introduced viewers to the world of Monstropolis, a vibrant cityscape filled with colorful monsters and their unique abilities. This imaginative setting sparked creativity among children who were inspired to create their own monster-filled universes, further solidifying its place in pop culture history. Thirdly, the film's memorable characters, particularly Sulley and Mike Wazowski, have become iconic figures in the world of animation, appearing on countless merchandise items such as shirts, toys, and even tattoos. They continue to captivate new generations of viewers with their unlikely friendship and unwavering loyalty. In conclusion, Monsters and cultural impact on its audience through its engaging storytelling, relatable characters, and imaginative world building. It's no wonder that this Pixar classic remains popular to this day, proving the timelessness of its themes and storytelling prowess